Abby and Gretchen are best friends to the end. And they say nothing changes this. They'll be best friends to the very end. But one night they're out with some friends at a cabin and drop acid after playing with the Ouija board. And nothing bad can happen with a Ouija board in horror movies, but oh my god, it gets spooky, and Gretchen and Abby end up separated in the dark, and a demon overtakes Gretchen, and now Abby must stop her best friend from going to the depths of hell, but she can't do it alone. She must get some help for her best friend's exorcism. Best friend's exorcism. Her best friend's exorcism to save her best friend from her best friend going to the end. My Best Friend's Exorcism is an Amazon original, and after that terrible song intro that would never ever end, yes, it goes on and on, my friends. This movie comes to us courtesy of Damon Thomas, who's done TV as well as something called Killing Eve. Oh, it's a Killing Eve, and it's, I don't really have a rhyme for that. So they're written by Jenna Lamia, which I kept calling Labia because I'm just a goddamn weirdo. That's no offense against Jenna. She actually did a good job here in her feature film debut. And it's based on the book by Grady Hendrix, who I assume is no relation to Jimi Hendrix, but possibly not sure. So this stars Elsie Fisher, who was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Netflix movie. She was in something better here, I will say that much. That movie was goddamn awful. Nobody could have saved it. Nobody. And they didn't even try with it. And anything they tried to do failed miserably. That wasn't her fault, though. She does a pretty good job here. And Amaya Miller, who was Nova in the War on the Planet of the Apes remake. I actually forgot that they did a series of Planet of the Apes movies after the Tim Burton one failed miserably because Fox or whatever studio kept interfering. So, other people that are in this, well, there's a series of actors. Obviously, you can't just be focused on two people. And this is about, wait for it, Best Friend's Exorcism. Easy for me to say. So, it's set in 1988. My God, the 80s nostalgia beats you into the goddamn head. beats your skull in. Ow, ow, ow. Actually, that's unfair because the 80s nostalgia, for the most part, works quite well. This movie is a comedy horror, horror comedy, black comedy horror, black comedy, and a little horror smile. Boy, I really had to be careful saying that. And yeah, Abby and Gretchen have been friends for years. And even though they are different, Abby has confidence issues as far as her acne, as far as her skin. Her and Gretchen get along well. Gretchen comes from a very, very, very religious family. Abby also is from a Jewish family. But they go to a Catholic school. And then there's the religious motif that's getting slammed into your goddamn skull. You must fear God and you must put your faith in God or something will get you. Well, after meeting up with some friends, going off to a remote area around a lake, not Camp Crystal Lake, not that, more in the pity, they say, oh, yay, there's that house where something terrible happened. Something really, really terrible happened. This girl was caught in a ritual of some kind. Bit weird. So it opens up with Take On Me, and has Tiffany's I Think We're Alone Now, which is one of my favorite pop songs ever, within the first 6 minutes. I will say right now that this movie isn't necessarily it isn't high class, as far as filmmaking. It's not bad. It's certainly entertaining, but it's also one that you can have your brain on a little bit for the 80s nostalgia and just enjoy for what it is. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it ends up being a movie that is mostly entertaining. When they decide to drop some acid, things go south and Gretchen ends up possessed, as I said in that terrible, terrible intro that just would not end. And from there, Abby has to figure out how to save her friend before this demon takes over her and kills everybody that she knows and loves, including Gretchen. So again, it's a comedy that isn't... when it hits, it's actually pretty good. And the horror is basic. It is much more of a comedy than a horror movie. And it has a breezy pace to it. And as far as direction and writing, it's mostly on point. When the comedy misses, though, it lands with a resounding thud like it fell out of a, third-story window, or like Eric Clapton's son. I shouldn't have said that, but nevertheless, I'm just going to roll with it. And that's pretty much it. The movie is then just a series of, Abby trying to convince people that there's something wrong with Gretchen. She wants to save Gretchen, and things just kind of go off the rails on a crazy train. I will say that there are some points where the character arcs get a little bit off. I think there were a couple tonal shifts and maybe a couple things that were like added weirdly, where it's like suddenly people are just doing this and doing this, and then they totally do a 180. And some of it makes sense. Like there's some good stuff as far as like how a demon would break people away from all their friends and everything and isolate them so they can continue. They're all alone, and now I'm all you have and I will get you. But it, for the most part, works. My Best Friend's Exorcism is a nice trip now down nostalgia lane and has some good acting. Elsie Fisher and Amaya Miller do a good job as the leads. And then the characters of Margaret, who has her own issues, and Glee, not to be confused with the musical show, that is. She was fine. And other people, they were okay. They were okay for what it was. There was no real bad acting. Characters were just kind of there. This leans enough into the entertainment aspect that you can overlook the flaws and some of the thuds and some of the problems with the movie. It's not perfect, but it is entertaining for what it is, and it's on Amazon if you want to check it out. I am going to get into spoilers here in a bit, but yeah, if you have an Amazon Prime account, just watch on Amazon Instant Video. You don't have to pay for it because you're already paying the monthly subscription fee, and it's worth it for what it is. Entertaining enough. Decent surprise as far as Amazon Originals, because there have been some hits and misses as far as this year and in past years, so there you go. Anyway, let's get into spoilers. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so there's this demon called Andros, not Andrade, El Olio. If you're a wrestling fan, you are going to be dying laughing in the comments. You'll probably hate me for ruining that song. And yeah, the 80s nostalgia songs, and the fact that the one thing it does get right, or it does do well, is Abby and Gretchen being genuine friends, and Abby feeling betrayed because her friend is possessed by a demon. So they do some, after dropping some acid, and after Gretchen and her get separated, they had done this thing with the Ouija board a little bit earlier, where it was spelling out something, M-I-N, but the last letter was E, mine, and then this demon just drags her away. And then everybody suddenly hates Abby because Abby thinks that maybe it's possible that Margaret's boyfriend had assaulted her. Because at one point, a nun at the school, because it's a Catholic school, references a particular type of alcohol as R juice. That is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say the word. And then Gretchen just acts weird, possessed, all that stuff and everything. Writes some notes and some help me messages in her Trapper Keeper, which I remember having because I'm just that goddamn old. And then she decides, hey, I'm going to poison my friends, or I'm going to get my friend. Margaret has weight confidence issues, body confidence issues, so there's this thing, this protein shake from France, this diet shake, and it helps cure people, or it helps, people lose weight. And then Margaret's not eating. And it turns out Margaret actually was taking tapeworm formula and had one tapeworm that was 11 feet long, so long that the dog actually grabbed it and took it away. Kind of hilarious. And Glee, again, not to be confused with the Fox show, has a particular allergy to nuts. That's also an allegory for the fact she's a lesbian, but nevertheless, she actually does have an allergy to nuts. And her EpiPen goes missing because Gretchen is just bound and determined to torture her friends because it's a demon. It's not actually Gretchen. So there were some guys that did workout stuff, working out for Jesus, called the Lemon Brothers. And they did some stuff at the school. And one in particular, Christian, yes, that's his actual name, saw this, Gretchen and realized, oh shit, she's actually possessed. There's something going on here. Abby asks him for help because she sees him at the mall. Because she's like, I need to get back. I need to get my friend back. She's killing my friends. I need to get her. I need to get whatever this is out of her. Christian offers a help, lost his mom in a car wreck. Well, their mom, because they're all brothers. And that factors in a little bit later. This isn't a very smart demon is what I noticed, because it's easily drugged and knocked out because it's still in a human body. So they take the demon to, I assume, the same house that they were in before, in the cabin by the lake. And they do their they do their stuff where they're throwing salt. He's assaulting her. Sorry. And then he kind of goes a little bit more nuts trying to get this. They're going to do a baptism in a bathtub. That doesn't end up working because they don't get that far. Because the demon decides to pretend to be the mother to scare Christian away. And now Abby must do everything she can to basically embrace her religion and basically just save her best friend. And after stabbing her with a fire poker, that basically affects the demon, also Abby, that somehow ends up being okay despite being stabbed in the stomach and possibly the spleen. But she's back in that area where the demon got them before, that old house, and she says, by the power, this, by the power, Boy George, by the power, Culture Club, all this, does all this stuff. Gets the demon out of her. And this demon kind of looks like a weird version of Gollum. And then they decide, shit, we need to band together and take care of it. So somehow there's this bottle of alcohol. It's 180 proof. It just happens to be in this abandoned place. And she says, 180 proof or whatever. Great for getting something in or out of you or whatever. Takes a lighter that she happens to have and sets it on fire and then blows away the demon. And then it was revealed earlier in the movie that Gretchen's family is going to be moving. And even though they try to be strong, independent women that don't need no men, they're still high school students. They decide to stay in touch. It's not goodbye, it's just see you later. And then we see what's up with everybody else. Everybody, some of the characters that did certain things and what happened. So that's pretty much it. It's not a bad movie. It's entertaining for what it is. I think the friendship aspect was done pretty well. It gets a B. Again, it's not high class. It's not bad. It's certainly not terrible. This is entertaining enough that you'll be able to enjoy the breezy pace. So yeah, there you go. So, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Wetland. I'll see you soon.